Hello, my name is Sarah Payne and welcome to my sewing room. I thought today I would try something a little different because one of the best things about my job is I get to try lots and lots of different products and then, completely fall in love with them. And I decided today that as the sun was shining, I was going to make myself a little rose bowl. So I'm going to take you through how we actually make the rose bowl. First of all, the first thing that I did was grab my supplies. I'm just going to go through them very quickly with you. First of all is the fabric that I'm using for my roses, which is actually a genius product called Threads. It's Threads Inkjet Printable Fabric, and basically you pop it through your printer. As long as you've got standard inkjet printer, it prints beautifully. Leave it to dry just for a couple of minutes and then it's washable. You don't even need to heat set it. It is amazing stuff, and the images you get are fantastic. Well, for this particular project I wanted something that's quite lightweight, so I've gone for the chiffon. This is a silk chiffon. They do 4 different silks and 3 different cottons, including poplin, lawn, twill, and they do chiffon, charmeuse, crepe de chine. They're all stunning, and if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a variety pack, it's got 1 piece of each of the 7 in it, so you can have a play. But for this one I'm using the chiffon. So what I then did was I went onto the internet and I searched for roses. I think it was hand painted roses, royalty free. Okay, so the images I've chosen are completely free for me to use. That's always very important when you're using somebody else's image on your work. I then opened up PowerPoint, mainly because I find it easier to pop my graphics in PowerPoint and then print them. So they look like this. And then once I played around, I probably could have put more leaves in actually. If I'd have cut and pasted, I could have got a few more leaves, but you can play around with that yourself. And then I printed it. Now I've got an inkjet printer. I just have to make sure that it's set to best quality and photo paper matte is the one that I've used. Okay, so your printers, depending what software you're using and what printers you're using, it'll vary, but it just needs to be best quality that you can get out of it and matte, okay, because you don't want to lay down too much ink. Now once I've got it printed out, I had a sheet full of little tiny flowers like this one. All of mine I've already cut out because obviously you don't want to sit there and watch me cut them out. But I will show you them in a moment. So what I've done is with each one, I've roughly cut it out because it's got paper backing on it. I've taken the paper backing off. You can gently score the paper with your scissors if you choose. I've chosen to, a bit of trial and error. I found that it was easier to cut my flowers out because there's lots of tiny little bits of detail. It was actually easier to cut my flower out and then after I took the paper off rather. So take the paper off, then cut them out, rather than cutting them out and tearing the paper off. It just made it fray a little because this is chiffon and chiffon will fray. So there's my image, and you can see it's kind of see-through. So I'm just going to roughly trim this. Now, I do a lot of work with these people at Threads, and I absolutely love the products because I've used photo fabric before and they were okay, but these, they're just washable. It doesn't make the fabric stiff or heavy like some of the fluids I've used. They don't fade, unless obviously if you leave them in the sun, all fabrics will fade in the sun, but they don't fade through washing. And I can use silks, I can use chiffons. They're beautiful. So there we go, there's my little tiny flower. Now I'm going to place this on a circle of my second product, which is called Solufleece. Okay, now other types of wash away stabiliser are available. I just particularly like this one because some of them can be a little bit sticky, so when you're sewing them through your sewing machine they can actually catch. So I've got a piece of this, I've roughly cut it out into a circle. I'm going to lay my pieces on top of this. Some of them, most of them are going to go right side up. Excuse me, right side up so I can see them inside the bowl, which I'm making. But around the edge I'm going to have some of them facing upwards and some of them facing outwards so that you get both sides. And also because it's chiffon, you do get the image on both sides, even though it's faded on one side rather than the other. So I will lay all of these out, and then I'm going to take another piece and place it on top and pin it. Okay, so I shall come back when that's done. Next, I'm just going to set my machine up for free motion. So the first thing I need to do was drop my feed dogs. Then I need to pop on my walking foot. So this is my walking foot, sorry, my free motion foot. Okay, that's going to allow me to do my free motion embroidery. So to put that on, I'm just screwing that in place. Now I'm using my Brother FS130 QC, just because that's the machine I use most of the time, and actually it has no problems with free motion embroidery or quilting at all. Now when it comes to the threads I'm using, these threads are going to be visible and they're part of the design. So what I'm going to do, that's the dustman. Dustman's come. So I do apologise for the noise because it's so hot in here I've left the windows open. So if you can hear the dustman, that's what that noise is. But I'm using the Guterman Sulky, and this one is candy because I want the pinks. So because both sides of this bowl when it's finished are going to be visible, I've popped one of the pinks, the pale pink, into my bobbin, which we just place in the machine. And I'm going to start off with quite a pale thread on the top from the same bundle, because I'm going to build up layers of thread. So my machine is now ready. Oh, drop my feed dogs, my needle rather, to get it in the right place with my needle threader. And then automatic needle threader. Right, so now I'm good to go. So my machine is set up. The next thing I'm going to do is I will be back in a minute once I've layered up all of my pieces, and then I'm going to pin them together with quite a lot of pins because I don't want them to slip between my two layers of Solufleece. So once I've done that, we'll come back and we will look at the stitching. See you in a minute. Well, I'm all pinned now. I have my two layers and I have pinned my roses in between. Okay, so they're sandwiched in there. I've used flat-headed pins just because they're easier to go through the sewing machine. So what we're going to do now is machine stitch these with the free motion foot and the feed dogs down. Now what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to wash this stabiliser away, which in order to do that I have to make sure that all of my threads and all of my flowers intersect. Otherwise I'll just end up with a ball of string. So I do have to have lots of bits overlapping in order for this to actually work. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, I'm going to drop my needle down and then put it back up again, and then that allows me, oh missed it, to pick up my bobbin thread, which is a little too short to pull up onto the top. There we go. Just have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to my top bobbin thread. My top thread. I'm going to drop my needle down, pull it, and then my bobbin thread pulls up from the bottom like that. Now my bobbin thread is up on top, I can tuck it out of the way, and I'm going to go up and down in the same position a few times just to secure that thread. Then when I move away, I'm just going to leave the needle down, grab my scissors and trim these threads off, because I don't want them catching. Anything like that will impede the free movement of my work. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to roughly outline some of the roses because I need to hold them down so that I can remove the pins. So I'm just going to gently move this around in my sewing machine. Now I've not actually got any other fabric in here, just the Solufleece. And I'm being very rough and casual about the outlining because it is just, I will be building up different threads. Hi, so I'm back. It's taken about an hour, but I have free motioned all over, just in swirls really, quite small, quite tight, in the pale pink. Then I chose a slightly darker pink and I've done some scrolls. I'm trying to make sure I fill in all the gaps. Now it will wrinkle, that's not a problem because we will be washing this out, and it's obviously because we've not stabilised it. Now I'm going around the edge. Now I don't want a very smooth edge for my bowl. If I did, I could mark this out with a template and then follow that line, and it doesn't matter how I mark it either because this will all wash away, but I actually want to keep it fairly fluid. So what I'm doing now is just finishing off my edges, and to do that I've set my machine on a zigzag, which may sound odd because it's set up for free motion, but that's because I want a kind of random zigzag around the outside. So I've set it to the widest setting, and then I'm just going backwards and forwards over the edge of my stitches because I want to give it an edge, but I don't want it to be straight. So just carry on going all the way around. And I don't want a sort of definite satin stitch, so I'm sort of moving it fast and then slow and backwards over it and then forwards. That'll do. Right, so now take it out of the machine. And that is my finished shape. As you can see, it's quite wobbly, but that's what I want. I want a sort of almost a fringe. So what I'm going to do now is just trim off the excess. I cut this circular, the Solufleece in the circular pattern in the beginning, just to give myself a guide. But now I'm trimming these bits off. I could save these for other projects, these pieces, because I could make earrings using the same method or a necklace. But so here's my piece. I've got two sides to it. I've changed the bobbin thread each time as well, so that I can match them up rather than just putting white, because what's going to happen is my bowl is going to be like that, but you will see some of it around the outside. So the next step, I'm not going to record this, but what I do next is I'm going to wash this in cool water, and it will take a few seconds for this to dissipate, but I don't want to wash it out completely because I need that glue in there. So what I will then do is take my shape that I'm putting over, and I will shape it, and then I will leave it overnight to dry. But that's where I need to make sure some of the Solufleece stays in there. And then what I'll have is I will have a bowl that is shaped to the item I put it over. So if I put it over a round bowl, I'd have a round shape. I actually want it to be quite sort of organic. So I could tuck it, I could pin it, I could clip it, but basically I need to have made sure that I haven't left too many holes, but I want to see that those beautiful chiffon roses all the way through. And because I've used the Threads Printable Fabric, it means that I can wash this. I didn't have to heat set my chiffon before I did it. I could just wash it. I'm going to wash it by hand anyway, and then we will come back when it's dried and I'll show you the finished piece. Thank you very much. Hello, welcome back. Now it's 24 hours since I finished my embroidered bowl, and it's basically here. So this is it, and I laid it over two bowls. If I take it off, I laid it over two bowls because I wanted quite a definite shape. So I put it over like that, I let it dry, and then carefully peeled it off after about 24 hours. You do need to make sure it is bone dry. But now you can see, if I just lay that down, I have got a beautiful machine embroidered, free motion stitched rose bowl with those gorgeous flowers printed on chiffon, so that you can see them through both sides. That's what I wanted. I wanted something very light and delicate, and that's exactly what I've got, with my lacy edge, because I went wibbly all the way around. And there is a beautiful delicate bowl ready for summer parties. You could put potpourri in there. Obviously it might fall out some of the little holes in it, but you know, you could really make it something beautiful. Or this was the thing that I used as the mould. This could go back inside and I could float a candle in it. Who knew you could do that with a free motion foot, with your Solufleece or other soluble interfaces, a little bit of the Threads Printable Fabric, some of the Guterman threads, because you just want them to be visible, and there we go. We've made a beautiful embroidered bowl. Thank you very much. If you make one yourself, please do share with me. You can find me on Facebook under Sarah Payne Quilter, and I've got a website, sarahpayne.co.uk, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon. Bye bye.